Welcome back to another hour of Scotch Hour. I am Noah.
And I'm Jesse.
All right, this is episode 197.
197.
Wow. Closing in on that 200 mark. All right, well, this evening we have a lineup of the Glenfiddich 14 bourbon cask special release design. Looking forward to this. I think it looks like a great canister. All right, and then from there we got our shout outs and get it togethers. Then our restaurant review being Famous Dave's Barbecue, and then our Smarter Challenge being the World Fair. I don't know about what on the World Fair, but the World Fair.
Shit gonna get dark, real dark.
All right. Real quickly before we jump into the Scotch, thank you to all the viewers on YouTube and Rumble. We greatly appreciate all of you. Thank you to all the many listeners on the many different podcast platforms that you can listen to us on. We greatly appreciate all of you as well. If you do like our content, please like, share, and subscribe. And most definitely leave some comments down below. We love to interact with all of you. Get your takes on some of these scotches that we try or even the topics that we talk about.
Scotch Reviewed.
All right. Well, as Noah has mentioned, this is the Glenfiddich 14-year special canister release for 2024. Excited to try this 14-year. Couple key notes on the Glenfiddich distillery, founded in 1886. And currently owned by William Grant and Sons. This is a big boy distillery. 16 wash stills, 27 spirit stills, 21 million liter per year capacity, which is one of the reasons it's one of the two greatest producing and supposedly sells the most drinking single malt scotch on the planet, which is their 12-year-old. William Grant in Dufftown, they founded this, and the William Grant and Sons still owns it to this day, which is pretty freaking phenomenal. Some of their age statements do include a 12-year sherry cask, 14-year, 15-year, 15-year cask strength, 18-year, 21-year, 26-year, 30-year, 38-year, 40-year, 50-year, 64-year, and that is not to mention all of their other very special releases that they have. So lots of options there. This particular Scotch, and is right around their most common ABV, is a 43% ABV, and we are excited to try it. They are located in Dufftown, Moray, Scotland, as a Highland single malt Scotch. Excuse me. This particular version is finished in American bourbon barrels. We've tried different variations of it before, and we are excited to try yet another one. Any great news on any tour changes? Are we still following some of the same tours?
I believe it's still some of the same tours. We got the Explorer Tour, which is 1.5 hours. Here you get to learn the history and the whiskey making. I couldn't read my handwriting. And you get four drams here on the tasting, and it's 18 and older for this. So that's your basic tour. The next one is called the Malt Master Tour. This is 2.5 hours long. It's a more in-depth tour where you get to go to warehouse number 8, and you get to go to the whiskey maker's blending room, where you get to blend a small bottle of scotch for yourself, and you get to take that home. Then we got the Milestone Tour. This one's 4 hours. It's an exclusive tour. You get to you get an exclusive bottle here, and you get 3 drams of special that are specially chosen by the whiskey. I believe it said the whiskey maker, but it might not always be the whiskey maker. But that's what I believe it said on the website there.
All right.
Oh, by the way, all of those are 18 and over. No youngins.
No youngins there.
All legal.
Couple other key pieces here about the Glenfiddich distillery and some of their history. In 1956, their iconic triangular bottle and canister were designed and launched by Hans Schläger. He was the designer of this iconic triangular both bottle and canister. In the 60s and 70s, when a lot of the economies were struggling around the world, in order to overcome difficult times as opposed to reducing their output, they actually expanded their production of the drink and introduced advertising campaigns at the visitor center, all sorts of things, which helped build their brand and their name. It is currently sold in 180 countries and accounts for 35% of the world's single malt sales, which of course is huge. Part of the reason they are the largest and best-selling single malt Scotch on this planet. As we dive into this particular expression from the Valley of the Deer, this is that 14-year 2024 special release. Man, already looks fantastic. I do love the canister. I love the blues. I love the iconic deer seasonally colored around the canister. I wish they would have done the same thing for the bottle label, but this bottle is still great. It's that triangle, and we will dive right into the foil. A well-perforated, nice, thick foil. Pops right off cleanly, which is greatly appreciated, followed by, what have they done here? I feel like this is new. I don't think they used to have a plastic topper.
We had to go back and check the old 14 behind you.
I love the Glenfiddich deer, the stag there pressed into it, but it is now a plastic topper with a pressed cork.
I believe, you can do a quick check behind you, couldn't you?
Oh, yeah. As we double check the older version. Oh, it was plastic as well, so they are both plastic.
Different color, though.
The cork or the top?
The top.
Oh, this one's still got the foil on it.
Oh.
The plastic is still just the black.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess it's time for our tasting and warp speed.
All
cheers.
Right, cheers.
This Glenfiddich expression, the 14-year, this is actually something that we, as we mentioned earlier, is basically like a revisit. The only reason why we're doing it is because of the new canister. Hoping that it might, they might have done something different. But I'll start off with the presentation. The canister is 100% top notch. I love it. I love the design of it. I think they did a great job. I forget who the name of the artist was. You might have said it earlier, but I didn't catch it if you did. I know we saw it when we were looking up a couple days ago, but in any case, whoever they got to design it, they did a phenomenal job. Where I think they failed at is they didn't make that onto the label. And they kept the normal 14, pretty much like the normal 14 label there. The plastic top, the press cork. This all makes me go with a 4 out of 5 on the presentation. I really want to give it 5 out of 5 just because the canister is so kick butt. But I cannot.
Raku no. Something like that.
Okay. There you go. He did a great job in the design. The color. Here I just have a nice deep amber gold color here. I like it. It's nice. I gave it a 5 out of 5. The nose was my high point on this. Here I have vanilla and honey. Oh wait, I'll start over. This is what I wrote here. I wrote my order backwards. Reminds me of an oatmeal cookie with vanilla and honey with some fresh notes of lime and kiwi is what it reminded me of. So like there's like a little bit of like a cereal in there, or maybe like the smoked barley or something like that. I think this is where I get some of my burnt flavor in there. But then you get like the vanilla and the honey. And because of like the oatmeal cookie, I think there's also like a little bit of burnt sugar that kind of goes along with it. And then you get, like I said, to me, that also finishes up with some like freshness of like the lime and the kiwi from tropical fruits there. And I do enjoy it. I give it a 27 out of 30 points. I like the nose. The nose was nice. The body, here I put it's a light body with notes of apple, malt and brown sugar sweetness, and a hint of vanilla. And then it has a mild cinnamon burn on the tongue because there is some definitely like a little bit of burn on my tongue there from that spiciness of the cinnamon, but not so bad that where it turns me off. It's almost like when you get those, I'm not even sure these little those little red cinnamon hot candies are around anymore, but that's kind of like what it reminds me of. Like I think they were called like Red Hots maybe or something like that.
Yep.
And then the finish here is, I put the finish, it lingers with mild notes of nuttiness and spice. The palate was my mid-range. I gave that 26 points. The finish, I wasn't super impressed with the finish. I gave that 25 points. Grand total of 87 points. I do feel like we were spoiled the last few months. And have this follow up with all those wonderful scotches that we've had recently. Might do this one a little bit of disservice. But, any case, Black Tie Affair. I'm going to say no. And the reason why I'm going to say no is because they did not match the label with the canister.
That's fair.
Now, if the label there had the same thing, the same kind of picture going on as it does in the canister, I would definitely say yes. Is it worth to have it on your shelf? I think so. I like the design. I think it's good to have special designs or special releases on the shelf. Game night, yeah, for the price point, sure. It's an easy drinking scotch. I think you can have it at game night. So
65-ish, 70?
Yeah, I like 65-ish. So I think it's worthwhile for the game night, but like not quite Black Tie Affair. Like the canister itself, like I said, you can almost make a case for it, but the label and the plastic top and the press cork kind of like makes it to where I'm like, nah, I don't want this to represent me. I'd rather take something else. So, but I think it's worthwhile to try. I think it's a great bottle from Glenfiddich. I think it tastes great. It's easy to drink, and it's better than their 12-year, so give it a try.
I'm going to need a bigger pour. All right, the Glenfiddich 14-year limited edition design by Raku Inoi. I agree. Right off the bat, presentation of 4. Oh, I also wanted to give it a 5, but there's this discombobulation between the bottle and the canister.
Do you think they learned from that from like other companies like that do it?
I think they're all trying to follow Diageo and falling short, because I've seen somebody else, a couple other companies lately come up with some really good ones as well, but they're only doing the canister. Now, here's what's most interesting. For the last 4 years, we've been talking about the importance of a canister as more and more people. Glenfiddich for a while there as well. We're going away from them, and now they're going back. Why? Well, there's probably some pretty good reasons for that, because it matters. It's advertising, just like they learned in 1956 and helped carry them with that iconic triangular bottle and canister through the 60s and 70s, expanding as opposed to retracting. One thing I think I forgot to mention when we were talking about this Scotch is their water source being the Robbie Dew Springs. Big deal when you're popping out 21 million liters plus a year. Back to the taste. All right, presentation is a 4. Color, I love the color. For me, I give it a Southern Belle kissed skin. It looks like it's right in the dead of summer. It is delicious. So color 5, nose. This is an interesting nose. Our points were very, very close, by the way. Nose, also a 27 for me. Right off the bat, vanilla and oaky vanilla, caramel, apple, lemon, zest, orange peel, and charred sugar. And I don't know how else to say it, but freaking charred sugar. I'm talking about when I make my creme brulee and I look the other way and I burn that sugar just a little too far, probably. Charred sugar, but still. The nose inviting, sweet, almost creamy. 27. The palate, also a 26. It's a little creamy at the front. Sweet and spicy. Burnt caramel. Burnt cinnamon sugar. A little bit of a white peppery oak. And some charred apple as well as orange zest. Palate 26, leading to the finish, which I also gave a 26. The finish, it's interesting because that creaminess comes back. It is a long, creamy, oaky, orange taste as the finish starts. And then these almost doesn't make sense. It's a peppered toffee. Because you get this sweet piece from that creamy flavor, but it's also got a little bit of the cinnamon pepper in there, and dry oak as well as cereal malt. So gave it a 26. My grand total an 88. For me, this is a hard one, the black tie event, because I love the canister that much, but I don't disagree. Part of the whole black tie piece is the details. And so I'm going to agree with you. I'll take a Macallan 12 over the Glenfiddich 14 simply because the bottle matches the canister and nothing appears or feels discombobulated. Absolutely take it to a game night, especially for this version. I believe it came out for the holiday season, this limited edition canister. Very good. Does it have a spot on the shelf? The 14, yes. Absolutely.
It's time for our shout-outs.
All right, my shout-outs are going to keep it pretty simple. Man. All I can say is our new government, newly appointed government officials continue to make quick moves and impactful moves. Some loved, some not so loved, but they're doing a lot of things to save a lot of money. None of us know just yet how it's all going to play out, but nonetheless, got to give a man and a group of people props, in a sense, for putting their money where their mouth is. And no get-togethers this week.
Promises made, promises kept.
We'll see.
That's what he says. And he has been keeping his promises that he's been promising from the campaign trail.
He's already done more than Biden and Obama combined based on what I looked for from them.
So regardless of where you stand on President Trump and his administration, I understand that there are a group of people who are scared of what he's doing, but you have to realize this. Like, everything's all about perception, right? And because it's all about perception, what if some of the programs and things that we've been funding as taxpayers, what if it really makes the United States bad guys out in the world? It might be best that we do get rid of some of these organizations. So I'm going to give my shout out to the newly created Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, and Elon Musk for what they have done so far to eliminate a lot of excess waste and spending and stuff. Especially some of the things that they've discovered with the USAID and there's been some money laundering, and it's even come out that Zelensky has said that he didn't receive $100 million or something like that, and he doesn't know where that money went. But I'm sure somebody knows where that money went. But he said he never received it. So there's like $100 million that's supposedly missing that he or the Ukraine never received.
His wife's the one who has the $4 million Bugatti, right?
Possibly.
No, that's right. You were supposed to correct me. $6 million Bugatti.
But anyways, shout out to them for doing that. Also, shout out to the people who are in support of RFK Jr. being appointed as the new head of the Health and Human Services Department, blowing up the Senate telephone lines, causing it to crash because so many people called in to tell their senators to approve his appointment. So shout out to all those people.
Restaurant Review.
This week's restaurant review, Famous Dave's Barbecue in Aurora, actually technically Centennial, Colorado.
I think that's Aurora over there, isn't it?
I never know. He always goes back and forth. It's there at Parker and Arapahoe Roads. All right, Noah, what did you think?
Well, outside, it's I don't know, like a shopping center, mall-y area. Not like mall, but like strip mall type, but I don't know. Anyways, parking lot, 5 out of 10. I don't know how well lit it is at night. It was still pretty light out when we were there, so couldn't really make a judgment call on that. But I didn't really know so many parking lights there, for the parking lot. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna keep it out of 5. I didn't hit any potholes, so that's good too. Inside, I'm not exactly sure what kind of decor they're going for in Famous Dave's. It almost kind of seems like a southern cabin type of feel, or I don't know, fishing shack type of thing. I'm not exactly sure. It's not my preference, so I gave it a 6 out of 10. The food, my food wasn't bad. I got the beef brisket sandwich with the Wilbur beans, and I don't know. It looked like to me like the hamburger bun or the bun that it came on was like a little tiny, and I was expecting more like chopped brisket instead of cubed brisket. But anyways, the sauce tasted decent. The meat was good. I feel like I've had better barbecue elsewhere. I've also had worse barbecue elsewhere too. So,
Not here.
But I gave the food a 7 out of 10. Service. Here is spotty at best. I gave it a 6. I wanted to originally give service a 5. But I gave it a 6 because she didn't really try to challenge me when we discovered that there's a discrepancy in what I was charged, and she gave me the money back in cash as opposed to just putting it back on my card or whatever. So, or giving me a gift card for that minute amount. So it was just better. I think because of that bumped it from a 5 to a 6. Value, I gave it a 6 out of 10. Here's the thing. I think if you get what I bought, it's lower than a 6. But if you get the happy hour menu, it's a steal, and I think you get a higher value point there. So if I would have gotten like what Jesse's going to be talking about, I would have given it a 7 out of 10. But with what I got, I would have given it a 5 out of 10. So I rounded it, or I just took the average there and put it 6 out of 10 there. destination spot? No. Would I take a date there? No. Would I meet a friend there? Sure. But that's about it for me. Oh, I guess total average is 6.
All right. It's almost hilarious because our scores are so similar on this one, much like they were on the Scotch. All right. So for myself, I did go after the happy hour menu, current happy hour menu, 3 to 6, a variety of options. So I had the build your own burger for $6 and their fries with their special sauce for $4. Now, the build your own burger quickly becomes a not a $6 burger, but closer to a $13 burger once you add the brisket plus $2, the pepper jack cheese plus 50 cents, the red pepper plus 50 cents, and the mac and cheese for $1. Leading into the total experience, exterior, I gave the exterior a 6. I had 0 problems with it, but it's also not great. The traffic flow could be better designed. Interior, I'm right there with what Noah mentioned. It is kind of like a southern ? Hunter ? Cabin ? Interior also a 6, just not sexy, but not offensive. Service was a 5. I feel like they are definitely in a predicament of the business needs are being met, but potentially the staff is being overtasked. Food for me, my burger was very good. The one thing I didn't like is that they gave me 3 options for the finish on the actual patty of the burger: medium well, or well. I would have liked medium rare. I ordered medium. I got medium well. Overall, though, food is 7. Value for me, I left the value at a 6, only because the one piece that really was offensive to me was that burger patty, not getting the option to even do a medium rare. But total for a 6, food was really good. No complaints there. Would I meet a friend there, particularly during happy hour? Absolutely. Am I going out of my way to take a date there? Absolutely not. And not currently a destination.
Smarter challenges.
This week's Smarter Challenge. All right, Noah can rephrase if he would like. This week's Smarter Challenge is to review what one might call the World Fair. What was its origins? What is its purpose? Where has it gone today?
Yeah, so I came across this idea to make this our Smarter Challenge because I saw a Instagram feed of some lady talking about this year's World Fair is going to be in Osaka, Japan. And I'm like, World Fair, is that even around anymore? And so it kind of got me curious, like, hey, maybe we should like do a Smarter Challenge on the World Fair and get a little bit of background on it. Before we go into like total detail, like history or anything like that, in a high overview, what's like 1 or 2 things that you might have learned about the World Fair or World Fair along with the United States attached to that?
I think there's 2 different sides to it. I think the popular side is going to be an opportunity for those who think they're the fancy pants countries to give the world a view of how advanced they are in any number of arenas. Now, this can be horticulture, this can be, agriculture, it can be any number of things, but really what it is an opportunity, as at least it started for countries, one would say an opportunity for countries to show off how much more advanced they were than others. Another thing I would say is that depending on where you are in the world, the significance of the World Fair absolutely is also just that dynamic. But more importantly, I believe that it is underestimated how much the changes in technology based on country and accessibility have absolutely changed the significance of what is now the World Fair.
Yeah, so I think you kind of touched upon this. Like one of the main things that I learned about the World Fair when doing doing my bit of research here is I didn't realize that there's actually 3 different types of World Fairs. There's like the main one, which is what we know as the World Fair or the World Expo, and that happens every 5 years. Then there's the specialized expos, which actually has like a more specialized theme to that and stuff like that. And then I think you mentioned the third one, which is the horticulture. And as you mentioned, it's all about talking about some of the advancements like different cultures have made. It's really a way to showcase a country's people, like who they are, what they have accomplished, and really introduce the world to other cultures about your own culture. And then the other thing that I kind of learned as I was going through and learning about the World Fair and stuff like that is the indifference. Maybe it might be the right word. I'm not really sure if that is, but the indifference of what the United States or how it feels about the World Fair and why many Americans probably didn't think or probably still don't think that the World Fair is even around anymore. So those were like my 2 like big things that I've learned.
All right. Well, I absolutely think that it's around because it's advertised every 5 years, and you'd have to almost be in a nutshell not to be presented with it in one way, form, or sense or another, especially if you're a Formula One fan, by the way.
Well, there you go. You're a Formula One fan. But like in Formula One, I think for the mass majority of Americans, it hasn't been all that popular until probably more recently. So that's why I said like most Americans, they probably felt indifferent. And I think really the World Fair, as I've learned, they feel indifferent about Americans too. And they don't even like spend a whole lot of time marketing to the American public.
Well, and there's the question. There's one side of it. Why are you marketing to Americans at a World Fair?
Well, you got to market to get them there, right?
Right. But that's the whole thing is like, why are you marketing to them? My point being, when this started out and the first real, like as it's viewed, potentially the first real World Fair in 1791 in Prague, organized there in Bohemia, which is now really the Czech Republic. Part of that is it's a bunch of rich people, and then you go through the next century or two, basically, a bunch of rich people, princes, queens, kings, etc., is wanting to show off all their greatness. Well, who the hell doesn't want to go to steal ideas? Like, you're a fool not to go see what these other places are doing so that then you can learn and apply it yourself. And when that is the point, it absolutely makes sense. Now, fast forward to 2025, even 2001, and start wondering why America is not showing up, not spending $12 million plus to go to these things as a country anymore. Oh, we're not trying to sell anything anymore. The whole point was to sell something, and America's like, okay, we're good. We know where we're the best. We know where we're not the best, and we're not trying to give away any secrets. We've got our people there learning yours. If you've got any, keep doing our good work.
Well, I think you make a pretty good point there about that point of view, because I think this all started in 1984. With the specialized expo in New Orleans. Here, the specialized World Fair was going in competition against the Los Angeles 1984 Olympics, and because of this, a lot of Americans chose to go to the Olympics rather than go to Louisiana to go see the World Fair. And it was such a big shit show. Like, they didn't have enough money to build all the structures and stuff that you need for a World Fair. They ended up getting these blow up tents and shit like that to house some of these pavilions. And it was so terrible. Like, they couldn't even pay the workers at the expo, and the government had to step in to pay the workers and stuff like that. And so it'd be just, and it, like the United States, at least the government and the people involved, they felt that it was such a terrible showing that they never wanted to have like that disgrace put on them ever again. So I think that started the downfall of like maybe the relationship that the World Fair had with the United States and vice versa. And then it became pretty much official in 1999 when Congress passed legislation saying we will no longer be involved with the World Fair.
Well, again, it's just the whole expense thing. Technology has changed so much since 1791. You don't have to go to the World Fair. It's all on TV anyway. The only reasons that you would want to go to a World Fair anymore, and they've tried to entertain this, is if countries were literally doing things where architecturally or artistically you had to experience them firsthand to get a taste. But now you can even probably, I'm venturing to guess, you can be like, send me a plate from the World Fair, overnight it, and you got it.
And that's another great point too, because there are some people in the United States who believe like most of the information that you want now you can find on the internet. So like something like the World Fair is not really as important as it used to be a long time ago. But and like one of the big things that they promote with the World Fair, from what I learned, is that you get these like really cool structures. That's like where the Seattle Space Needle came from. And then also it's almost like soft propaganda or soft politics to win over the hearts and minds of other cultures by showcasing your own culture's achievements and what it stands for and what it means to be, in our case, an American. But like when a lot of this stuff started coming through, when we stopped like saying like, screw this, screw you guys, we're not gonna pay for this crap anymore or whatever. If you really start to think about it, when we passed that legislation in '99, who was in office? It was George Bush, and at that point in time, we had Newt Gingrich, who just did the whole new, I forget what the Republican bill was or whatever, that the contract with America, whatever, is about like cutting money and stuff like that. So this was an expense like the government saw like it was a waste, because as you're mentioning earlier, what are we getting out of it? We're not getting anything out of it. We're the superpower, basically the lone superpower at that point. We are the most advanced. We in some cases, and we know where we're weak at and all that stuff. And then why would we want to give our secrets away to other people? So that made perfect sense. Then you go into, and this is where the funny part comes in. Like, we've been going to these other like expos, but we don't pay for it. We get like the host countries to pay for it, or corporations to do it. And also with the one for 2010 with Shanghai, or that was 2015. They did they request the documents like from the government, and out of the 29 pages, only 4 were not redacted. Something like 20 of them were fully redacted, and then like the other like remaining were partially redacted. Only 4 were not redacted, which means like what is the U.S. government hiding from us to where they don't want us to release the information, like where they got the money for our people to go to there. And those were shit show pavilions too, and it also makes sense though, because during that time, I think that was when Obama was in office. And really, he talked about saying like how America isn't great, and how if you just like kind of go back and look at what his administration stood for, it makes sense why we would do nothing, show anything special about our culture or our people, if he's saying that there's nothing exceptional about America.
Well, I think there are some truths to that. I think other countries do have a reason to celebrate all the areas that we as Americans feel so prideful in so many different ways. And, you can go Google things yourselves. Our literacy rate compared to most countries is obscene. Our mathematical succession and proficiency rates, ridiculous age by age comparison to many of the other countries. And I think financially, we have been propagandized into believing there are threats around the world. Not that there aren't, but China's clearly not a superpower. They had taken Taiwan. Russia's not as big of a superpower as we make them out to be as far as a threat. They'd already own the Ukraine. Like, there are things that are spelling out, okay, like, whatever you thought you knew about COVID that you then found out came out in a congressional report saying that those were all lies. How much do you believe about any of these other countries?
So I guess a question for you, right? Is it worthwhile for a country to participate in a world fair?
It can definitely be worthwhile for a country to host and even potentially participate in one. The hosting would all be about intelligent planning. Like if we were going to do it in LA in like 3 years, burn it down. I mean, if there was a natural disaster, set it all up. Boom. You just rebuilt it and had a world fair there that helps pay for it. Meanwhile, it's all going to be the most advanced stuff because that's what you were setting up. So there are potentially absolutely reasons.
Before we go to the World Fair for LA, just remind everybody we got the Olympics going to LA, so we can't have that double thing happen again.
Why
we
not?
did. Because we don't want to screw it up like we did with.
What if you did both?
In LA?
Could you not have the world's biggest? You got the land right now. Rebuild. Make it happen. You could literally, hey, here's an idea. You could literally showcase what America's plans are for public transit and all of the different ways that were advanced. It's genius. I say both. I say go for it. Go for the gold.
Here's the thing.
Olympics and the World Fair.
You're not as absurd as it sounds. I don't think you're wrong.
I'm not wrong.
I don't think you're wrong.
I've been doing the planning. I'm like, this could be genius. America, fight for the World Fair.
You're not wrong. And the reason why you're not wrong is because that would actually show America's ingenuity and its our ability to rise from the ashes like we've done before.
Yeah, you burn it down, you build it up.
Yeah, this time they purposely burnt it down, but so they could build a smart city, which whatever.
Again, World Fair, smart city. Hashtag winning.
Smart city's bad. Okay.
I'm not saying it's good, but from a world perspective, winning. World Fair. We finally topped Norway on one thing.
I think we top them a lot of things. Definitely military budget.
Norway's just sitting there. When are these guys going to stop throwing away money? Again, what are the threats?
Hey man, that's what Doge is for. They're already finding a bunch of waste and abuse.
Yeah, you just be careful, man. Careful when you start crossing boundaries where like, we don't need people selling insurance or working retail.
Fraud, waste, and abuse, man. Fraud, waste, and abuse.
You go through the self-checkout and steal, you get shot. What?
Yeah, I guess the only other thing I have here with as far as like the World Fair and with Americans, this is like way back when, like I think in with like the New York World Fair, the Chicago World Fair, I think you're talking about 39 and 30 something. Americans were going to the World Fair, as you kind of mentioned before about technology, right? This is a place where they were like America was able to, I guess, show the future of what things could be in the future, and this is where like TV kind of made its debut. Hamburgers and hot dogs became popular in the world fairs and stuff like that. So some of the things that are kind of like staples to America, to Americans today, they made their preview or they kind of became popular there at the World Fair.
Fully understand that. Here was the point. There was a time when there wasn't just one reason to go to a World Fair, which is to try to find out if anyone else had a technological edge and take advantage of it. It was also about competition. If they want to bring the sexiness back to a World Fair, I say plan on one. Let's say give it 8 years. Make it in Texas, have to deal with rocket launches, every country that wants to launch a rocket around the same 24-hour period, a race to the moon, if you will. How sexy would that be? Who wouldn't be there? I would find a way. If I had to, I would fucking walk there to see one rocket launch, let alone see if America was going to best China versus Russia versus any of the other countries we've given enough money to build a rocket for, Ukraine, any of these places. How great would that be? And that's where they've really lost it, is they've come to this piece where they're like, okay, well, we're going to do some fun stuff and sell our fuck culture. This is about advancement, face it or not. This isn't about going backwards. It's about going forwards, which is going to be the first superpower or any power to make it to Mars. Like, it's not even about shooting the moon. It's just like, let's prove someone.
Elon's going to be the first. It's not even going to be a country. It's going to be Elon.
Well, there we go. Which, by the way, even though we may not have been born in America, he's American.
He is now. If he wasn't before, he is now.
Oh, man. But the whole point here is, if you're doing a world fair, this is my whole point. Like, make it exciting. Make it something that you cannot get anywhere else. Guess what? Every world fair that's happened for the last 20 years, you can just go to that country and see the same shit.
It seems like it's exciting for most of the world except for the U.S.
Is it, or is that just what we hear because that's their only chance based on their company who's trying to get secrets from other countries to go to a world fair to go and be like, oh, so this is what Shanghai looks like. That can't be America.
All I know is like Japan. This is from my side. Is Japan was disappointed that the U.S. was not going to be there, so so Japan basically fronted the money for the United States to be there. Then China saw it as a slight against them that the U.S. wouldn't be there, and they halted all political talks with Hillary Clinton, who was the Secretary of the State at the time.
I think that's a great excuse. There were other reasons.
Well, there were other reasons too, but they're like, "Hey, if you guys are going to be here, and you're gonna insult us, then why do we want to work with you?" So, I mean, I think to some other countries, it might be exciting to them, but I honestly I don't see why or what the appeal is really necessary for America or Americans.
We are the best at advertising. People want to come to America. Like, consider this: we are not the biggest country, not by far. Freaking Canada's bigger than the United States. That's just crazy to think about, right? Everyone said they wanted to go to Canada. Trump got elected. I haven't seen one move. I've been waiting.
I think a lot of people have been waiting. And I think the other thing too, like if you want to promote culture, right, and who we are, who Americans are, and our culture, you get that from our movies, you get that from our music.
Yes, I am John Wick, by the way. If anyone is wondering, you got that right here. Baba Yaga.
I'm just saying, if you can get a lot of that culture and who Americans are through pulp culture.
Again, advertising. That is none of us are John Wick.
No,
none of us are actually Rocky Balboa.
No, I didn't say we are. I'm just saying you can do an analysis of through film about the society going on during that time.
Never back down. How's it going, badass?
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about as far as the World Fair?
I think if you want to talk about American culture in a movie, that's probably about as real as it gets about any of the movies we've talked about in recent times. You got a kid with a broken family, tragedy struck, and he gets his ass kicked, and then he wins one fight and considers himself the king of the world. The next day, probably got his ass kicked again.
I'd go more with Cobra Kai, but whatever.
Let's face it, though. What we're talking about with most of the movies we're talking about, John Wick.
I didn't even bring it up. You did.
I know I did. That's what I mean, though. I'm like, when you think of John Wick, American film, about a guy who was trained in Russia? Like all these different things. That was my only point.
But my point, you get from studying film, is that like a lot of Americans like guns.
And a lot don't, because the one fool shot the wrong guy.
I'm just saying, like they have classes about studying societies through film. I mean, you can do it. It doesn't mean like because of one film doesn't mean like everybody is like that in that film.
That is absolutely true. Here's one thing that people do not understand in America. Our constitutional rights are just that. Most countries have disallowed, taken away their citizens' rights to do a lot of things. Only one small example of which would be to protect themselves, to bear arms, which seems so minuscule and unnecessary until it is. So that's a really good point. There are so many great things about America. It's just funny. I would never associate our TV with any of them unless you're talking about something like Modern Family.
Well, here's the thing. Like in college, right? In college, I took a German film society. We were able to study like about Weimar Germany and also Nazi Germany through some of the films that they put out.
Schindler's List.
Now, it doesn't mean like everything about like what they put in the film is exactly like day-to-day life for every single German, but you can get a good feel about what society, what was going on in society due to what was being put out at the time. Likewise, you can see like a film from the 50s versus a film from the 2020s and seeing like how like people were acting in the 50s versus what they're acting now and how society has changed from then to now.
I don't disagree. I just think it's funny to like think about the details for movies, like the kicker movies, right? Like The Tourist.
I'm just saying, I think you were too easy to dismiss what I was trying to say.
No, I think it's good. Cobra Kai. Again, though, I would not associate it all with America. I don't know many Americans.
If you're talking about like broken families and people come together, yeah, that all fits right there.
Right, but based off of martial arts.
The actual the karate part of it, no.
Okay.
But the actual other parts of the interaction, like the broken families and stuff like that, yeah, you can piece it together. The interactions between a wealthy family and versus a non-wealthy family and...
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that.
Now, like the whole like karate part, yeah, that's not like not everyone here in the U.S. does karate.
That's not true. I bested Bruce Lee,
and I never been to like whatever valley it was karate tournament.
Got my third ticket this year. I love America's cinema. But to me, I'm like, it's all dreams. Now, I know we embed, or the writers embed enough reality into it so that it's relatable. Like I said, I just want.
And you can also give like the disposition too. Like a lot of American movies end more on happy notes versus like European films where they end more on sad notes.
Fucking the reason I live here.
Which is also kind of true about Americans. Americans tend to have a lot more of a sunny disposition than a lot of other countries out there.
It's the sunshine here in Colorado.
But at the same time, I think you can also find out that we're also very shallow. Like we're more friendly and boisterous up front, but then like where like other countries are more reserved. And you can see that in the films too. Anyways, enough about films.
I love American cinematography. I really do. I love American cinema. I like to go see movies.
What's next week's? If you don't have anything else about the World Fair, what's next week's topic? Before we go on to a whole diatribe about something.
I think we need to have World Fair just based on John Wick and all of the world. Like, I need to go to Rome just to see one of the buildings where that was filmed. Next week's Smarter Challenge, we're going to go in a whole different direction here from a worldly World Fair expedition. And what does it mean to, you got a week to go out and you don't have to buy it, but you have to figure out a fragrance that speaks to you, a men's fragrance. Now we're talking, it can be Chanel, it can be Prada, maybe you got a little bit of Jack Black. Who knows what fragrance may be the one speaking to you, Givenchy. But find one and come back next week and talk about a fragrance or two that you found that you really liked and why? Eau de parfum. Eau de toilette.
All right, so poop on ourselves. Okay.
Poop water. Holy water.
All right. Well, with that, if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching us. We greatly appreciate you. If you have any comments about the World Fair or the Scotch or whatever, please leave that in the comments down below. If you like our content, please like, share, and subscribe. And with that, I'm going to pass over to Jesse to close this out this evening.
And just so you know, I won't be pooping on myself. I'll be going after a real fragrance. And remember, life is great. That does not mean it's always going to be easy. In fact, the difficult times make the good and great times that much more meaningful. Do not drink and drive. Drink responsibly. And until next week, we celebrate a fragrance that we are drawn to. Scotchman!
Cheers. We hope you enjoyed this evening's episode of Scotch Hour. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you have not done so already, please become a Patron member, with memberships starting as low as $1 a month. Thank you, and hopefully you have a wonderful evening.